Greetings on this Legba evening, Monday evening, January 20th. Memories of Dr. King celebration. Of course, our vibration came up January 15th, as it always does. That's actually his born day. And we are Gogo Sangoma or Sangoma or Ia. Too many folks, we realize that we always jump in and forget to say who we are. And how easy was it? How good was it for us to jump in with the granddaughter? So, in our moment of crafting and being quiet on this somewhat solemn day, we Niyashe Kan Ki Fagbarashe, when we are compelled by a spiritual force that we cannot resist to say, all right, get in there. The granddaughter and you have a challenge for number one that will each tend our YouTube channels well. She, with her good wisdom in Chloe's life for young ladies entering onto the road of their young womanhood, their rising into that time of a rites of passage. So we were really thankful for that. And as we move through the day, holding fast to every year we come around, back around to the memory of Dr. King and bigger than Dr. King, of course, the movement that we came up in, civil rights, and what our parents, our grandparents, and all of our older elders, wise ones, held on to, let's say it that way, and believed in. We look for something that we didn't know, something um, not hidden, but something that in all of the history and the Black History Months and stuff that may not have stood out, like the I Have a Dream speech. And in listening to the interview of his son, I think it was on Meet the Press. If you haven't seen it, you should. I thought he had some very, very interesting answers. Why, of course, he cannot speak for what would be his father's mood or mobility in this time had he lived, but he could make a pretty good guess at it, being his son, and he brought to the attention, which we're going to look for because books are our nourishment. We are shuffling our truth tellers. That he has a book out, and some of Dr. King's books, which I have not read any of Dr. King's books. I'm not ashamed to say that. I just didn't even know. And so one of those books, What's Next, Chaos or Community? Mm. Are we there yet? And so I said, wow, that's really for this time. And so many of our prophets and visionaries, such as my godfather of Oyotunji, and there a card jumped out. Let's get it. 2 cards, 3 cards jumped out. Wow. I'm going to keep them up. We'll share them with you, but we're going to put them back in the deck. This is definitely Garden Dreamer and Butterfly Woman, Caterpillar, Cocoon, Butterfly, Wings have to dry before you can fly. And our card, according to our birth date, the Queen of Clubs, Mother of Intuition. So we'll put those back in, and I'm sure to show up why they jumped out in the midst of that part of the conversation. But anyway, chaos or community. And so I thought about that, of course, in the level of ensuing chaos that is down on the 3D. And I also thought about all of the cultural, educational, spiritual leaders, guides, elders that have really, really put the heart of themselves into knitting our communities back together, healing the ills in our community. Obviously, a huge one for us this year is mental illness and crisis management of mental illness in our community as we are losing more and more and more of our relatives. So that's a choice. And as we speak to you on that's a choice, because life is full of choices, it might be simpler for us to explain it that way. Either you choose chaos, you choose to just be swept around in the hurricane, or you remember that you can choose the I in the calm of the storm. You can pull into your center. And I was speaking with a circle of women the other night that are doing a fabulous prayer from the Toltec Mayan traditions through the rainbow serpent. And I heard myself say, the reason that people are so scattered and are having a hard time keeping their focus is not all of the chaos that we find ourselves in, but more to the point, they're absolute strangers to their own core. They don't know that place in themselves. Many, too many are filling the empty places inside of themselves with external whatevers, machine world or relationships or addictions, and that list goes on. And so, how do we quiet ourselves in the stillness? And you hear many of us that love the outdoors and love nature find ourselves in many gatherings in the woods around campfires that say, nature is the way. Nature is the way, sitting very still and remembering that you too can join in to the songs of the birds or no sound, the wind, the breeze, the ocean, depending upon where you're sitting. And so that is one definite way to get back into the center. But we were saying that, that choice, chaos or community, is a little easier than me saying we're choosing timelines now. And some of us as starseeds, we really understand what that means. And we understand when the choice of timelines shift, when you felt like we were headed one direction, there's a sale in the mall and the whole crowd is pushing toward, I want to get in, I want to get the best deal and stuff like that. And then the others say, oh no, I'll wait till tomorrow. I'll hang out in Barnes and Noble in the bookstore and let the crowd go by. And I remember that my grandmother used to say that. She used to speak of the rich value wealth of the road less traveled, the road that's not crowded. Everyone's not on that road. And so that drops down to bringing us to that place of the old people telling you, learn how to be in the world, but not of it. And some people are missing that train right here. They just get totally distracted with whatever is going by, the thing that's glittering, the next shiny thing or whatever. And this is not the year. We will say, for those of you that don't know, Oyotunji has 4 decades being North America's oldest African village, done the reading of the year on the very first day of every year for the world, the United States, African Americans, and also Oyotunji. And in those readings, you get a lot of instructions, a lot of directions through the oracle of Ifa. The Baba always say, Eku Joko Babalawo. The Babalawo sit and divine on the mat. Then what are the currents? What are like the forecasts, the things that we need to be mindful of, which comes down and is spoken to us through various odus and proverbs and stories. Really good. So we're going to give you just a few highlights of that because it's large. And if you want to know more information, you certainly can reach out and we will see that we put you in touch with Egbe Ifa, where you could get your own copy of those readings. But take good care of your health. That rung out, through all of the readings. It kept coming back to it. Make your health a priority. And so, yes, that can speak about physical wellness. And here in these freezing temperatures, as we move through this January, it's not just your physical health. It is your mental health. It is your emotional health, your spiritual health. Take good care of your health. And the other is then whatever you know as your road opener. Some people refer to that as their luck. We know it as the whole vibration of Mercury messaging pathways, Alegba or Eshu. And they say, well, if you were to Google Legba just like that, the word trickster would come out at you right away. And well, I know when I do tours, Chinji, I tell people the biggest trick played is the one we play on ourselves. And sometimes Legba allows that to happen so that we learn. We really learn. You know what I'm saying? Because when we are the observer of other people's tricks or other people falling in their own tricks and traps, it doesn't quite move us. It doesn't quite hit the nail on the head. But when it is that you are the object of your own trick, your own trap, then you remember it. You remember it. And so without saying a whole lot, we will say for knowing that our debut with our granddaughter Chloe is the backside of that, when a young person then falls into the tricks of peer pressure or their own wanting to fit in or wanting that sense of belonging. That certainly that can happen. And another one, your word is your bond. You see, there's certain things that elders and olders, wise ones have said to me over 6 decades. And so that was one of them. Your word is your bond. If you say you're going to do it, do it. If you can't do it, holler back and say, I'm not going to be able to do such and such and such, because this is level one of our integrity. And in this time of great darkness and deception, where a season of truth telling is here, but we can't quite. A lot of people are really lost, like in a house of mirrors or in a terrible fog that they cannot remember. They cannot find their way out of the labyrinth of their own lies and deception, let alone the ones that they're believing swirling around on all the social media and the corporate news channels and so forth. So, your word is your bond. To really know what that means, what you will stand up for, or whether or not you'll fall for anything. Things like that, of course, on the holiday or Monday day of celebrating the life of Dr. King, those of us that saw the sacrifices and saw other dark times that we moved through because people wouldn't back down. Like you see people in the People's March over the weekend say, we're not going back. We saw the crowds moving with Kamala and say, we're not going back. Of course not. We don't want any more of that. And here we are. Know why? Because the majority of people refuse to get the lesson and to have the easy way out, which is just a patty cake it kind of over. Oh, yay, she won. And wouldn't have, torn down systems that are really, truly broken. And somebody just need to get the dustpan and sweep them up. And then we build again from new. Of course, it's still in a year of mourning that we are in Oyotunji. We just came through our first executive summit to really put our minds and hearts together around what rebirth looks like, what resurrection looks like. And we just, as priests, know, even though we can be heartbroken over things in the past and things we wish we could still hold on to, just have one more moment with, we also know when one door closes, somewhere a window opens. So doesn't that seem like a really good place to just go ahead and get these truth tellers? Yeah, put a couple of notes there. I'm going to say it again because it's worth repeating. Don't be a stranger to your core values. Know what your truth is. Don't get mixed up in what other people think truth is. You have to weigh, this is why we love our crowns of Isis rites of passage, that clan mother of the third moon, the third lunation in March, weighs the truth. Principles of Ma'at, weighing it out. What is the good of the whole? What is the good of the one? How's all that weigh out? All right, then. Here's our truth teller. We love it. On time, on time, on time. Mermaid Queen. And she is a heart, a Westgate girl. And Mermaid Queens, we love it. We got a wonderful mermaid chime from one of our crowns for the holidays, and it hangs right over our bed. We have many chimes because we like to keep that vibration and frequency where the mischievous spirits keep moving. They don't hang out. And it's a mermaid with many of the starfish and those types of things that tingle every time we get up out of the bed or make the bed. We hit it and it just rings and vibrates. But the mermaid queen, let's see the power of her transmission, because these things downloaded through us, as we have said. We still have a few of these decks left and hope to get up to Raven and the Crone. And maybe we were talking about trying to get to Phoenix and the Dragon in Atlanta next week and see can we get some up there. But of course, you can go through the website or you can contact me directly. This is Diamond, so then next would be Hearts. And many of the ones that fell out, remember those? Garden Dreamer, she's also a heart girl. A lot of love, a lot of love. This truth teller holds the power of big water and the mystery of the watery abyss, the depths. Among the Yoruba, this androgynous Orisha is known as Olokun, the keeper of mysticism, alchemy, and the veils of illusion. The gifts of these hidden truths are the revelations that surface in clarity despite swimming through murky waters. This is the offering of truly seeing what lies beneath. Just don't go what's floating on the top. Try to see what's lying beneath. It'll come up. That's what you know. This is a time of unearthing. This is a time of secrets coming up as the tower falls and these broken systems crash. Well, we'll see. The Yoruba say when the bacon is fried, it's the crisp that remains. So surely we will see. When the tale of Atlantis and Lemuria float to the shores of our inquiry, we are being invited to open wide our third eye, Jumeta, because nothing is as it appears. Isn't this timely for today? Nothing is as it appears. Whatever eludes your resolve is about to be revealed or sorted out by the truth of your divinity. Mermaids, sirens, normal mermen are not afraid to swim toward the abyss. They're not afraid to take the deep dive. We're not. We'll plunge right in. A lot of people have noticed that. They say, you'll just jump right in. Yes, I will. And so it's something that we hope that we can share with our relatives, that diminishment of fear. Because there's a great level of fear. Not all of it ours. Some of it is left over from ancestral trauma. Some of it is here from things that we have gone through, usually based on who we can trust and who we cannot trust. The darkness of deep waters severs like the fingers of Sedna. If you don't know that story, it's a great story. There is a smaller planet. You can hear more about it from Pam Gregory. She's one of our favorite astrologers. But Sedna, a story in the Inuit people in Alaska, daughter that father wanted to marry off because he got to that place where he was like, okay, I really need the money, and whatever is not coming in, my abundance, how will I survive? Well, I got this pretty girl. And over there in that village, so-and-so men will pay a good price for this pretty girl. So he was in the boat on the way, taking the daughter, and an amazing storm rose up. And next thing you know, the daughter was in the water. Most people say daddy pushed her in the water. And so, as any child in fear, see, I come right back, she hung on. She hung on to the boat. And the father actually severed her fingers, which dropped to the bottom of the ocean and became our whales and dolphins and amazing deep sea creatures. This is the way the mythology of it goes, that she became a great goddess of the deep. Sedna is among the holy mothers of mermaids, whales, squid, stingrays, and all of our gilded allies, whose respect is immediate, right? If you were swimming in some waters and a huge creature like that, but immediately you have respect. The light on the inside of all our instincts and planetary memory must create and generate an aura of freedom and safety to remain in the watery depths and emotions. Well, food for thought. What it makes me really think about in closing with you is how we've been living transactionally, so much so that we forgot the relational. And the transactional, you know it because it's kind of like dominated by uh, the external. What's it going to do for me? What can I get out of it? So forth and so on. But internally is right relationship with the self, which just automatically sets a more fertile ground, a more harmonious energy in all of our aura and our spirit to be in right relationship with each other. We can't be in right relationship with each other unless we're living from the inside out, unless we find that we are in right relationship with ourselves. So maybe they'll let me go back to my crafting now. It was just a check-in and said you were going to do this, so let's get to it. Turn on the live and do it. So we've enjoyed just a few moments with you in the early part of January in this first lunation, Talks with Relations. The card that we pulled certainly lent itself to that, how we can always, always, always depend on our relatives and not the ones, the two-leggeds, our relatives all in nature, all in all the kingdoms of nature. All right. Power to the peaceful, love and light.